Everybody, welcome back to another podcast. We got my brother Zach and me, and today we're gonna just talk about like a fleet update. We have a local car rental company in Phoenix, Arizona, and we have about 210 cars right now that we own / manage. We're just gonna talk about the journey, kind of where it started, where we're at right now, and where we plan to be. Tell them where we started.
So this started about 4.5 years ago. I was
2021.
just, late at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, scrolling on my phone, and I come across
TikTok
this
binge.
video, on TikTok, and it was like, do you want to make money owning cars? And it was just hyping up this idea that you could make money renting out cars, and I was like, don't you need a massive company to do this? And so I started thinking, I was like, sent it to Max. And we just started talking, and it turned into this whole idea that just kind of rolled into, we bought a car, was it the next day?
We bought a car within like 24 hours.
Yeah.
But we both like the idea because we're big into cars. Our whole family is like, I
Yeah.
mean, we come from cars, essentially. Like, I'd say every male in our family has either worked at a dealership or had some part in the car rental industry.
Yeah.
Even the females, too.
Yep.
Like, our moms worked at dealerships, our cousins worked at dealerships, our aunt, I'm sure our aunts worked at a dealership. Like, most of the females, we don't really have a big family, but most of the females in our family as well have been in the car industry to some degree.
Yeah.
It's like it's in our bloodline. So we love cars. Like, we'll come to car shows and stuff every once in a while. Like, we'll see cars like, oh, like it's a SF90. Like, there's an SF90 over here or whatever. And so, yeah, you sent me that video. I was like, this is pretty cool because we have a little bit of cash saved up, and as an idea where we could own cars, rent them out, and make money. I mean, to have things that we love and make money. And you're right. We bought a car in like 24 hours, rented it out. It's funny. We bought a Polaris Slingshot. It's a 3-wheel, looks like a Batmobile kind of manual. No roof, no AC, nothing.
It's ridiculous.
And what's funny about that, looking back now with how much we've learned, we literally bought the worst car we could have. Reason being is we live in Phoenix. It gets up to 120 degrees. Nobody wants to rent a car that doesn't have AC and that's a manual. Like, most people don't even know how to drive a manual. So we bought the worst combination of car ever to exist. Ever. And then we just kind of kept buying cars. What were the next cars we bought?
So after that, we upgraded. We learned a lesson.
No.
So
We downgraded.
yeah, well, technically we did. So it started where Max was traveling a lot for work. He had a videography company, and so he's constantly traveling out of town. And so he had brought up the idea of just posting his personal car, which was a 2016,
2015
15 Ford Fusion, just super basic. And we started putting that on Toro, and it started generating some income. And it was doing better than this super flashy Polaris Slingshot that we thought was going to kill it.
It started making just as much money. And the car, the cost difference between like buying a Fusion and buying a Polaris, half the price for a Fusion.
Yeah.
Half the cost. And so that one is doing well, is matching the price. So like, okay. So the strategy isn't spending more on a car, it's actually spending less and just getting a higher return on investment.
Yeah.
So then the next like 4 cars were Ford Fiestas.
They bought like 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 in a row. We bought a 2013, which was like $5,000. That was the best buy we've ever bought because we sold it for like $9,000 like
Was
2
that the
years
hatchback
later.
one?
The hatchback.
Yes.
Great. It had a you know, it had an exhaust kit on it.
Yeah.
Like, you'd start up. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't
like a
realize
little
that when we bought it.
1.5 liter.
Yeah, I had to drive like 45 minutes to some guy on a ranch, like in, I don't know where it was. It was kind of in between here and Flagstaff. Maybe it was an
Okay.
hour drive. It was really far.
Yeah.
I went and picked it up, and like in this country house, like literally in the middle of nowhere. There's no houses around it. And I bought it from this guy. I saw it. It was at night. I couldn't really see it. I was like, oh, okay, looks good. I had the cash on me, just like in my back pocket, like the $5,000 or $6,000, whatever. I think it was $5,500. And I pulled up. I like went over it with my flashlight on my phone. I was like, okay, this looks good. And then I'm like, you have the title? He's like, yeah. And then we just swapped, and I drove off. I drove the hour and a half home. I think I brought my friend. That's how I like got there. And then we bought another Fiesta, like 2016. Then we bought another Fiesta. Then we bought another Fiesta, then a Focus, and then we kind of started branching out from there. And then
With minivans.
and like SUVs, and finally we got to, I think the next big like break for us, like something big that kind of happened, was when we hit 15 cars, we got an office.
Yeah.
And
So this was all ran out of my house.
Oh yeah.
My neighbors all thought I was a drug dealer because there's people coming all times of the day to pick up
Hilarious.
cars, and it was kind of ridiculous.
But what's funny is it started at our parents' house.
Oh, it did,
We
yeah.
both lived at our parents' house. I had my media company. He worked for a dealership. You know, we're always in cars. And we had like 6 cars there. And our parents were like, so what's the plan with this? And it's funny looking back, actually, because I'd always go to the parents with these ideas. I'd always tell them, like, oh, like, I got this idea or that idea. And I swear, I'm not joking. Every time, like, oh, that's, like, oh, whatever. Like, they just, like, push it off and think, oh, it's just another one of Max's ideas.
Yeah.
And this is one of those. Like, when is this phase going to end? And that's funny now because looking back, they're super proud of us and what we built. But, like, it started as, like, us not thinking it was going to be anything big, and them just kind of like, oh, another one of their ideas. So started out of our parents' house. We got up to like 5 or 6 cars, and then we went to your house. You had a driveway which held 6 cars barely. You parked cars in front of your house, and then like in front of the other neighbors down the street.
It
like
was ridiculous.
I mean, we got up to 15 cars there, which like if none of the cars are rented out during a weekday, which is pretty rare, but like sometimes in the summer, slow season happens. Like that's a lot of cars to put in front of a house. And so I would literally pull up to his house and I'd see like cars littered across the neighborhood. Like it was crazy. I remember like in neighborhoods, there's sometimes stretches with like an alley wall where there's no house or anything. He had like 6 cars lined up there. And I'm like,
took up this whole row.
One of
this
these are
whole
gonna get
street
towed
was
or
just
something.
our cars.
So I remember he told me that his neighbors thought he was a drug dealer and he's getting like a little bit of complaints or like weird comments here and there. And then he finally told me one day he got like a complaint or something, and we're both like, we have to get an office. Like we have to find something. We looked around for like a month. Maybe a couple weeks. We found something. It was in a sketchy neighborhood. Like
it was horrible.
And
if
looking
anyone
back
knows,
now,
it was off of 24th Street and Thomas, which is
like sketchy area. And you're gonna find out like when we got there, we had some issues, but we found it. We're like, oh, this looks really good. They wanted like wasn't it like 2,000, like 1,500 for the indoor square feet, and then we had a private parking lot which was like 30 spots. And they wanted like an extra 500 for it.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we're not paying that much. I was like, I want 1,700 or 1,600. And they're like, no. And then so we left. Like, okay, we're just gonna find something else. We left. We came. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
I came back to them, and I'm like, we're back. Like, fine, we'll take the 2,000. Like, no, it's 2,500 now or 2,200. Like, they increased. I'm like, I'm not paying that. So we left again. And then like a couple days later, I'm like, we just have to. Like, this is the best thing we found. So we went back. We're like, okay, fine, we'll take it. We signed on for I think it was like 2,200 a month with this lot, and we had a 800 square foot office, 3 offices, which. I had one, he had one, and then my media company ran out of there as well. So we had my one employee that I had. And literally, our private fence had all of our cars in it. And was it the first night?
No, it was first week, but it happened twice.
First week. Tell them what happened.
This was before we had cameras installed. We get into the office, and it just smelled like gas. And so we were like, what the heck's going on? We were looking around, and all of a sudden, you look on the ground. There's just puddles of gasoline all over. And we were like, did something happen? And so we got underneath the car, and some crackhead, might have to blur that out.
Well, and the other reason he says that is because this place was surrounded by, and this is how we knew it was a great area, people that were on drugs, like visibly you could tell, and they'd walk around the complex. We actually kind of cleaned the place up. Like we would tell them to leave. I mean, it was private property, obviously.
Some of them were super nice, and so we had
so we were like cordial with
them,
but we like had to make them leave, and they tried to like spend the night there. And obviously the lot that we had rented, like we had to clean it up because like people had been living there. Like there's a couch in there. There's probably needles in it. Honestly, gross.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. There was like a bonfire pit.
Bonfire pit. Like people were living in this little compound, this little parking lot. But so somebody took a screwdriver and poked holes in one of the gas tanks. We're like, okay, that sucks. So we took it to the shop, and then literally like the next day or the following day, like somebody did it to another one of our cars. So we had it done twice. And then I remember that it was like that. I'm pretty sure it was that day. I hope, because the only way they're getting in the lot is like there's an opening, like person could easily walk through that people were getting in. The rest was like fenced and like gated with like a padlock on it. And so you went to like Home Depot or something, got a big piece of plywood and just like nailed it in or screwed it into this like these beams so like nobody could walk through. So it was like completely secured. It looked sketchy.
Janky.
So sketchy. So we ran out of there. We got up to, let me think, we got up to like 25 cars there. Yeah. But then we had a partner there as well that helped share the parking cost.
Shout out John Uboya. I just reached out to him.
Yeah, our boy John. So he had like 12 cars there, I think.
Yeah.
So we had like 30, 40 cars there. And then our lease was about to end. And we're like, okay, do we want to scale this thing? And by the way, we owned all these ourselves. Like we'd scaled to the point where we had them in cash. And we're like, okay, do we scale this thing and add more cars? Which we couldn't do there. Like it was pretty full. Or do we stay there and like stay comfortable? And at the same time, we were talking to our old like friend at the time that owned a exotic luxury / like Fiat 500 rental company. So I was talking to him and he's like, yeah, just bring your cars here. We'll like manage like the whole fleet together. I'm like, sweet, cool. So we took our like 15 or at the time it was 25 like medium tier cars into like his exotic / Fiat 500. Like it was sweet. I mean, it was like, what was it, 15,000 indoor square feet?
Yeah, 16,000 square feet.
Like he had like 40 cars inside. He had like 100 cars outside. At his peak, I think he hit like 180 cars. Yeah. So we're pumped. I mean, he had a team. He had people cleaning cars. Like he had a full operation. And so like, dude, if we can get into this and like figure it out, like this would be great. And the idea actually started with a merge.
Yeah, merge companies.
Mm-hmm. Remember how that went?
Yeah, that didn't go well.
Well, it started as he like came off as like 180 cars, doing $2 million a year gross revenue. And he pitched the idea, and I'm like, cool, like let's I immediately was like, let's do it. But
Yeah,
Zach was like we have to look into this. Like,
Yeah, well, it was pretty. You walk in as a young kid and you see Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLarens, Rolls Royces, all these crazy cars, and you're like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this. And then then the conversation actually start, and you start looking at this opportunity like, wow, this could be really cool. And so we started talking, and then he was just like ready to sign papers and
He's like, let's get
do
this
it.
thing done.
Yeah, we'll just be like, you have 20 cars, I got 160, you guys get whatever percentage
which is
that
funny.
is.
That's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. And so eventually we did is like, okay, let's look at each other's financials, because that's the only
Like
way that...
deep.
Yeah,
Deep,
exactly.
like no P&L, no, like we're looking at, well, I guess we weren't looking at like bank statements or anything.
Part of it was a lot of the information we used was derived. Well,
Yeah, I guess we're looking at like QuickBooks, like we're looking pretty deep into the finances. But the biggest thing for his, because ours was super clear, like we didn't have a lot to show, but he had like a full P&L spreadsheet to show like a lot of his numbers, which is like sketchy to look off of. This was kind of the final thing for me. I'm like, once we see these numbers, if this is legit, like we're here. Like,
he was
let's
ready.
buy
We
this.
thought we were signing that day, and we were going to go.
And then we started looking into it, and we're like, okay, so I see this number in the spreadsheet for depreciation. This is what killed the deal.
No, you guys thought it was fine. You guys were ready to sign.
No, I know, but this is what killed the deal. We're
It
like,
is.
how'd you come up with this depreciation number? He's like, well, this is like the average, national average of like depreciation on cars. I'm like, okay, so you just took the average and put this number in for all these columns? He's like, yeah. And I was like,
And let me add to this. He was still net negative with the random
hold
depreciation
on.
calculator.
We didn't know that yet. We didn't know that yet. So his financials, we knew that he was cash flow negative. We
Yeah.
knew that. He was
Okay,
losing about
yeah.
$20,000 a month, but he was equity positive. So he's net profitable, which means that like he was losing $20,000 a month in cash flow, but like with how much he's paying down in cars, because he had his loans were like only 3 years. So like he was profitable from what we initially saw, but then we looked at the depreciational curve. Was like, okay, well, how are you factoring this? We went through.
Yeah,
this is
each
crazy.
car.
Every single he had 150 cars. We went through every car. The three of us sat there for like 4
2 or 3
hours, from
hours,
like
yeah.
5 p.m. to like 9 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
Went through every car and actually calculated the true depreciation from when he bought it to where it is right now, and then like calculated it. And then that was like the big turning point. Like we saw the numbers, like we actually inputted it, and we're like, oh my gosh, this guy's losing. Not cash flow negative, like net negative, like $20,000 a month.
No, in some months it was like 60,
Oh yeah,
70
it varied.
grand.
Some months were like break even, some very few months were profitable, and then some hit up to 60 was the most lost. And I was like, oh gee, I saw that my stomach dropped. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh. And what was so interesting, he's like, let's still do this, but we just got to figure out like. Because he still wanted to
Yeah.
merge. We're like, how about this? We're gonna start with no merging. We're gonna operate together. So you'll have your cars. we'll have our cars. We'll like split costs of like the building and employees. Which looking back, we were spending a lot of money. Like average cost for building and employees back then was like $300 a car. Right now, it's about $125.
Yeah.
No, it's less. It's about $100 a car right now.
Yeah.
So we're spending 3 times normal. Let's skip to the end of that relationship, and if you wanna go over what happened there.
He ended up stepping away from the business, starting another business with a guy named Andy Elliott. And so we told him that we would take over his operations and help
We
run
told
it.
we told him we still needed help. Don't get us. We're still kids. Like we'd never run a business by ourselves, at least with
At
like
that
employees and stuff.
scale.
So yeah, he started that. He's like he started to get really hands off.
Yeah, like we wouldn't see him for a week straight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he'd be gone. Like
And
not
we'd
there.
just be running around, getting his cars and, staying on top of everything. And then one day he came in, and I don't know how the conversation started.
It started with us. We sat him down. We're like, we need to
Oh,
sit down.
yes, we need help with this.
We need help. We feel like we're getting buried. Like there's too much going on. We didn't have a good grasp on things. Like again, we'd never ran a company by ourselves to that scale. And we were so new to this. And we're like, dude, we need you to come in. We need your help. And like literally his first reaction, and there's a lot happening at the time. Like he was gonna get sued by employees because he wasn't paying overtime, which is, we should have tried to help with that as well. Or no, they're employed by him. So
Yeah, we were
but we
unrelated
were
to
asking
that.
about that the whole time. We're like, are you paying overtime? Like all this stuff. We're trying to figure it out with him, but like he would just deflect or like say it's somebody else's issue or problem or whatever. But we sat him down, like, hey, we need help. And literally his first reaction was, I think I'm just gonna shut it down.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do you mean? You have 150 cars at the time. Like he had like $7 million in loans. There's like this whole thing. We're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna shut it down. I'm gonna call my biggest investor, kind of pick his brain and see if he's okay with it. And then like, that's it. And we're like, okay, cool. That's like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. At the time, I'd already called our current partner, Justin. Like, hey man, this is happening.
Going
like,
down.
Can we come to you? Worst case. He's like, sure. And he the way he tells the story is funny. He's like, yeah, Max called me. He said, hey, can we possibly bring some cars over there? And I said yes. This is like Justin saying this. And then Max just showed up with like 20 cars that day, which is like pretty close. I mean, we like showed up the next day. Our old partner said that he was going to like shut down, or was thinking about shutting down, was going to talk to his partner. Do you remember what happened the next morning?
He started a fire sale. Like, it was just...
Well, kind of. We walked in. The office was packed up.
Oh, yes. He had all the Indy Elliott guys packed up.
The office, he had like 20 guys there moving the stuff. The freaking office was packed up.
And
it was
including
gone.
our stuff.
And they're taking our stuff. Like, they're moving our stuff into the cars. And I was
Yeah.
like, I was watching them. It's kind of like, think about it in like a movie. If like maybe a bad guy gets caught. Well, we weren't bad guys, but like if a bad guy gets caught, like the FBI's like taking all their stuff to their house. And he
Yeah.
doesn't think he did anything wrong. Oh, what are you doing? That's how I felt, except I wasn't bad guy. I was like, dude, what are you guys doing with our stuff? So I like stopped everybody. I was like, hey, this is ours. Put this back in. This is his. Like, and I had to like help coordinate it. But I was like, dude, I had a lot of books or I still have a lot of books. I had like 200 books at the office. They had all 200 of my books in this car.
Loaded in a car.
And I was like,
ready
dude,
to go.
take all these out. Like, these are mine. And so they like literally packed up and left in one day. And then we're like, okay, we have to get out of here. And what's crazy is like, there's still car rental reservations, like still people showing up, still problems happening. And then he started just shipping cars to the auction. He didn't own these cars. Like, he had notes and loans on all of them. And he's telling these people, he's like, all right, just take all freaking 150 of these cars to the auction. We're just going to sell them. And we talked to the financing company that backed him after this. I feel bad. They got burned. They had about $5 million with him. And then a personal investor had about $2 million. The whole situation that happened there, we're not going to get too much more into it, but there's like $10 million that just... between this was a bigger situation, but about $10 million that just disappeared.
Yeah.
Got lost. So, super bad situation. But then we moved in with Justin. And
Yeah.
but you know, the best situation that came out of that first partnership was he's like, yeah, I have all these co-hosts, which means that, you know, somebody gave him cars to rent out for them and he got a percentage of it. He's like, do you want to just take them? And we're like, I guess, like, if you want us to, sure. And I didn't understand at the time, like, what that meant.
Yeah, we didn't do any. Well, we had
We knew what it was.
one co-host. We had
one co-host.
What's his name? Yeah.
As a Cadillac, maybe?
Yeah, Cadillac, Volvo, and the Lincoln.
Something else. And we're like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. And he gave to us, which that was like the best, like, that was a pretty big pivotal moment. I mean, that went from like us having like 20 cars, having like 60.
Yeah.
And we went from doing like, I mean, at the time we were doing probably like 20,000 a month, like 25,000 a month, to doing like, I think our best month in that we'd hit like 87,000, which at the time we're like, oh my gosh, in 1 month, like that's huge, like that's crazy. Then we moved in with Justin, kind of kept growing. We were kind of going up and down between like 50, 60 cars.
Yeah, we got rid of all the Fiestas and Kia Rios and all these
Yeah.
older model cars.
Uh-huh. And then we sat down with this guy. This is probably the biggest pivotal moment. A guy texted me, and this is somebody we talked to before. You remember the conversation we had with him?
Yeah, we went to his house. This was early on. I think we had 10 cars.
Yeah, maybe 10 cars.
Yeah, I remember being so nervous.
Dude,
like, I was sweating.
you're shaking.
My hands, yeah.
Yeah, you're literally shaking.
Yeah.
We had a pitch deck. Like, it was like 7 slides. It was like,
Yeah.
this is our business. Can we have 250,000
Yeah.
or something, or like $500,000 or whatever it was? And we did it. I was nervous too. We didn't know him like super well. He's kind of like a friend of a friend, family
yeah.
friend. And he like watched pitch deck. He like took time. He's like, I appreciate you guys coming out here. Like, no, I'm not gonna invest in this. Like, I'm not a car guy.
Yeah.
Well, he's like, I don't invest in these kind of businesses. And we're like, okay, that's fine. I was super excited. I thought like maybe something would come of it. Which it did, because he texted me when Hertz started selling all their Teslas. They bought 100,000 Teslas and then they started selling them like in drives, like a ton at a time. And he texted me the link. It's saying Hertz is selling all their Teslas, and he's like, what do you think about this? Like, I see opportunities. What I said, he's like, me too. Why don't we try to buy some? And I was kind of talking to Zach about it at the time, but I was kind of like fronting it, like I was really talking to him and trying to figure it out. I was like, sure. So we talked about it. He called me or texted me. He's like, what if we buy like 50? I was like, yeah, I mean, that'd double our fleet. Like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then we talked more. He's like, why don't we try to buy like 100 or 150? And I was like, what? Like, sure.
And then he jumped.
That's crazy. And then he's like, you know what? We should try to buy 500. I'm like, what do you mean what does that even mean 500? Like, that's a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And then he sent us he put it together a pro forma on, like, yeah, he kept asking me questions like gross revenue, expenses, like all this stuff. And I was giving him the answers best of my knowledge. And he sent me this pro forma, and it was like based on getting, there's 2 tiers, like 1,000 or 2,000 cars. And I saw the pro forma. I'm like, what is this? He's like, yeah, I think we go big. I'm like, oh my gosh.
He was ready to rock and
1,000
roll.
cars? Keep in mind that like So the Turo business, like people renting their cars on Turo, at the time, having 20 cars is a lot. Having 100 cars, like you're top 5%. Having 200 cars, like you're top 1%. I mean, there's only a couple people that have it. 1,000 cars, there's only one person on Turo that has over 1,000 cars. 2,000 cars, nobody on Turo has 2,000 cars. And so we saw this performa, and I immediately probably called you, and I was like, that's like
Crazy.
dude, he's trying to buy a lot of cars.
Yeah.
So sure enough, sat down, we went through the financials, and we just started buying.
Well, we started with 20.
Right. Well, technically, we did start buying through Hertz. We started with 9.
Oh yeah, we did do the first round, but then like 2 weeks later,
Called Hertz. It was like, hey, we need cars. Like, okay, here's the list. We sent it back. We're like, all right, we'll take these 9. Like, cool, we bought them. Then we bought 11 more. And then we kind of hit a block. Because then the investor's like, all right, let's get real. Like, let's buy 200 now in a big, like, not all at once, but like let's buy a couple hundred over the next couple months. Like, cool, let's do it. And we hit a block. You don't really probably remember this as much because I was like the one trying to figure it out. You can't buy 200 cars from anybody. Like, there's no dealership, there's no
Yeah, I remember
store.
this.
Tesla will sell you 200 cars, but they're going to charge you shipping. They're going to charge you taxes and like all this stuff. We had a dealer license at the time, so we're like, okay, we're overpaying by like, not including taxes, we're overpaying by like $2,000 a car by just buying them directly through Tesla. Like, we need a better solution.
And the part of the issue is the loan. You had a term on how
because
fast
the guy
you
got a
spend the
loan
money.
for it.
Yeah.
And we had to buy it. We had to buy the cars in 90 days. That was the
Yeah,
initial
that's
like
what it was.
agreement. Like, we had to buy them in 90 days. What we did was it took us like 2 months to find a partnership with somebody, and the partnership ended up being really, really, really big auction that's nationwide, and then Tesla Direct. Like, we somehow was able to combine them, because essentially what happens is when Tesla's done with their cars on lease, they ship them to the auctions, they get sold immediately. You know, they have 97% sale rate.
At auction?
That's high. 97% sale rate.
Wow.
That's crazy. I mean, GM, Chevy, whoever, like, not many people have that. That's really high.
Yeah.
Or maybe if they do, they're losing a ton of money. So what we figured was, okay, well, we're going to buy them before they hit the auctions. And so we figured out this partnership, and they're like, okay, we're just going to send you lists. Like, we know that there's going to be 100 cars this week that are going to hit the auctions. Like, we'll send you the list, and then Tesla will send you the pricing on them. So they sent us this list of like 140 cars. We had a criteria. We're like, all right, we want to be under 50,000 miles. We want to be 2022 or newer for the new batteries, new Tesla batteries. The first purchase, remember how many cars it was? The big purchases.
Was it 60?
60. You're
Yeah.
right. 60 cars we bought, which is like, that's a lot of cars to buy. And what you don't realize is like, okay, they're all from different locations. So you have to ship 60 cars individually. You have to make sure they get there. You have to do like an inspection report when you get them. You have to arbitrate them, meaning like report if there's any damage when they get in. And like, I mean, each process for each car probably takes an hour, 2 hours.
Oh, at least.
That's not including shipping and like all the stuff. Yeah, you probably had 2 hours a car, maybe 2.5 hours a car. Like, it takes a minute. So we bought 60, was like crazy. I mean, that was so difficult to like get the cars in, like check them in. Like, dude, it was 1 week. We have a video on our YouTube channel. Like, dude, that was like a crazy process. That was
Yeah,
so
that was
difficult.
wild.
Like, we were there from like 8 a.m. to like 9 p.m. Like, it was all day, every day. If we'd have a 20 car load come in on a day and be like, okay, like, there's our night. Like, we're here till these are done. So to date, right now, which we're like 3 months into this process, so it's actually taken a little longer than we expected. We hit a couple bumps, but just in Teslas, which is all we're buying, we're at 150. We have another list of like 50 that we're gonna buy, so we're gonna hit to that 200 mark, and I'd say total time it's gonna take is like 6 months, so a little longer than we thought. Then we're gonna be cruising. We want to do LA, we want to do like maybe Vegas, we want to do like, we're gonna open up locations, we're gonna have like 200 to 300 cars per location, and like, I mean, just really blow this thing up. And I feel like we already have the systems, processes. Like, now it's just scaling and making sure that nothing breaks.
Yeah. We'll figure it out as we go, too.
Yeah. How do you feel like we've done so far?
Good. I feel like just in the experience alone, growing and scaling a business to this level has been unbelievable. You know, they say you learn more actually doing it than in school, and I really feel it. Like, going from running this out of our house or our parents' house to you know where we're at now, the things that we've learned and have gotten to do has been unbelievable, and it's been a blessing. Like, just all
that's
the
my words. That's what I was gonna say.
you know, all the connections and you know how everything has played out. I just very
It's
thankful.
been pretty sweet. Yeah, it's been great. But I'm excited. Like, there's so much growth. My goal, I just want to hit 1,000. Then I want to hit 2,000. I mean, we could
kid's
have
hungry.
10,000 cars I mean, the systems, they're not there yet because, like, there's a big difference between 200 and 1,000 cars. Like, you just
Yeah.
need certain things. But once we get there, like, I mean, we're going to take off. Like, we're already taking off, and I'm really excited. So thanks for watching. Everybody that supports us on our YouTube and our daily lives.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting us along the journey. Hope we helped you out along the way.
Peace.
Peace.